Hello, my name is Monica, and today we are joined by Elias Stasinos, who will help us understand how understanding the causes that keep us in the dark helps in enlightenment and liberation from the matrix of the mind. So we discuss how understanding itself is the key to awakening. Elias Stasinos has discovered that liberation comes through understanding the reasons that keep us in the slavery of the mind.
Yes, Monica, indeed, I have found that true liberation comes not from adding something new to our experience, but from seeing clearly what has always been there but we could not see. Liberation from the mind comes from understanding how we are trapped in the illusion of the narrative that our mind constantly promotes. We believe and identify with the mind's automatic thoughts about what we desire and what we do not desire, whereas, if we notice, they are simply thought patterns that are constantly being recycled, presenting the idea that there is indeed a thinking self in our mind.
Please clarify what you mean. Can you analyze this relationship between understanding and freedom?
Yes, it's like being in a dark room, constantly banging on the furniture and feeling trapped. The room isn't really a prison. You're only trapped because you can't see around you. The moment you understand the layout of the room, your movement becomes effortless. The room has not changed, but your understanding has completely changed your experience.
So understanding itself is liberation?
Exactly. But it is not just any understanding. It is specifically the understanding of how we have been deceived by the selfish mind. Let me give you an everyday example that can help viewers understand this principle. Understanding itself creates effortless change. This mirrors the spiritual journey. Once we understand how the ego mind creates the illusion of a separate self in our mind, liberation occurs naturally.
Could you explain this mechanism of how understanding leads to freedom?
Consider someone desperately seeking happiness through meditation and spiritual practices. They might try everything: longer meditation sessions, different techniques, more retreats, following stricter rules, but they're still unhappy because they're operating from the fundamental misunderstanding that happiness is something to be attained, that there's a me who needs to become happy. This is exactly how spiritual liberation works. We struggle with meditation, spiritual practices, trying to be enlightened. But once we understand how the ego mind creates the illusion that there is a self in our mind that makes us identify with thoughts, the struggle for enlightenment is over. We see through the traps of the mind that keeps us trapped in its delusion. This mirrors how all spiritual seeking and struggling comes from not understanding that what we're seeking, our true nature, happiness, peace, isn't something to be attained because it's what we already are. The very mechanism of seeking reinforces the illusion of separation. Once we understand this mechanism, the seeking naturally dissolves into the recognition of what's always been here.
Sounds like a magician's magic tricks. Once you know how they work, he can't fool you anymore.
Perfect analogy. Imagine watching a magician's trick. At first it seems magical and mysterious. You might try to figure it out by watching more closely or from different angles. But once someone explains the mechanism, how the mirror is positioned, how the misdirection works, you can never see the trick the same way again. Understanding dissolves illusion. This is also the case with enlightenment. Our mind is like a magician, creating the illusion of a separate self through constant identification with our thoughts. Once we understand this mechanism, it can no longer fool us. It's the same with awakening.
What prevents people from gaining this understanding?
The mind itself creates the barrier to this understanding because if we understand what it does to us, it threatens its existence as our supposed true self. It's like a con artist who doesn't want his victim to understand the scam he's running. Our mind keeps us focused on seeking experiences, achievements, or special situations instead of understanding the mechanism that keeps us in the dark.
How can viewers begin to develop this understanding?
The key is understanding the ego's mechanism is crucial. Once we see how it operates, we stop feeding it with our seeking and validate it with our belief in its stories of lack and need for more. The main mechanism the ego uses is the creation of a sense of lack. Then it starts seeking more wealth, more education, more beauty so it can be externally validated. It wants people to say how worthy it is, how beautiful it is, how educated it is. It wants to be loved, to be admired, to be on top, on. But because it operates from a base of lack, there is never lasting satisfaction no matter what it achieves. So, the ego is constantly seeking more and maintains its dissatisfaction. It reasons, when I get more, then I will be happy. So, to gain more understanding, begin by noticing how the mind creates pain through identification with thoughts. Watch how it constantly creates a sense of an I to achieve, to become something in life to avoid something unpleasant. Don't try to stop this process. Just understand how it works. Likewise, once you understand how the ego mind creates the illusion that there is a self with a story in your mind, you can go about life without being trapped by the delusion of the mind.
Can you share a specific example from your own journey?
Yes, I had powerful spiritual experiences, including the awakening of the Kundalini, but these experiences alone did not bring liberation. It was only when I understood the mechanism of how the mind creates the illusion of separation that true freedom appeared.
So what is the relationship between experience and understanding?
A spiritual or religious experience can open the door, but understanding how the mind works sets you free. Many people have deep spiritual experiences but remain trapped because they do not understand what the experience revealed about their true nature. It's like having a dream where you sort of wake up and realize it was a dream, at least for a moment. You see the dreamlike nature of the experience. But if you don't understand what this quick glance revealed about the nature of reality, you will immediately return to the dream and remain in the dream for the rest of your life.
Any final words for our viewers?
Certainly, I must say that spiritual liberation is not about adding something new or achieving a specific spiritual or psychological state. It's something that already exists and is here. It's completely accessible to everyone. In particular, understanding how the egoic mind has created the illusion that there is some type, some self in our mind. The true knowledge of our nature, the true knowledge of ourselves, is the very liberation and bliss that we all seek throughout our lives. Just as understanding how a magic trick works forever changes the way you see it, so understanding how the ego mind creates the illusion of an imaginary self forever changes the way you experience reality. The truth really does set you free, but only when you understand why you thought you were imprisoned in the first place by identifying with an imaginary self in your mind.
Thank you. So we understand that the key to liberation may not lie in seeking new experiences or achievements, but in understanding the very mechanism that makes you feel bound and identified with the imaginary self in your mind. Created by Elias Stassinos. Subscribe for more.